Hey everyone, this is Cindy at an open door. It is January 22nd, 2026. This is the hour that we call Finding Truth Everywhere, where we pick a teaching and we talk about what it means to us and um, how we could use it on our journey and our path. Um, Today we'll be talking about a conversation with Gary Zukav, and it's gonna be facilitated by Lonnie. That said, I'm gonna play a song first before we hear the voice of Lonnie. And I could tell you I've never played this song in this space before. I could tell you that it was only about an hour ago. I said, "Hey, Lonnie, do you have a song, or do you want me to have a song?" And she said, "I trust you with a song." And about 5 minutes before I talked to anyone, I went to YouTube and I saw this song. It's a Billie Eilish song, which so I know I've never played Billie Eilish here. And I started to listen to it and I got chills. So I haven't even heard the whole song, but I got chills. At one point it said, "This is the tone of love." Like as soon as I heard love and tone and, all sorts of things, I said, okay, I guess we'll play it. So here we go.
If love was something fragile, it would tremble in your voice. A quiet little melody that makes my broken heart rejoice. You speak like warmth in winter, like a truth I never knew. A sound so soft and gentle, it pulls light into the gloom. I never knew that comfort could be carried in a tone, that someone's voice could feel like home in ways I've never known. And every time you whisper, all my fears turn into hues. If love was a sound, it'd be you. Your voice is like forgiveness wrapped in something close to grace, a softness that reminds me I'm allowed to take up space. You sing into my shadows like you're healing what I hide, like every broken part of me finds courage at your side. I never knew that someone could make silence feel so warm, could turn my trembling heartbeats into something newly born. And when you say my name, the whole world feels brand new. If love was a sound, it'd be you. Maybe healing starts with voices soft enough to tame. Maybe we're just notes that learn to echo through the pain. A song we'll never lose again. If love was a sound, it'd be you. The melody that pulls me from the things I never knew. The softness in your whisper turning fear to something true. The echo I keep chasing when my heart forgets its cue. If love was a sound, it'd be you. And every note you breathe feels like something I once knew.
Wow, my computer has great speakers.
All yours, Lonnie.
So, this is my first time doing this, and I, I think the first thing that came to mind is why I sent this tape to Cindy, and I had to go back and listen to it because it's been 2 months since I sent it, maybe even 3 months since I sent it, and I had the same reaction this time that I had before, and right away I realized why I had to see it. Um, One of the things, and I'm going to jump into something that stood out, was when he talked about the fact that spiritual evolution is a very intimate and private thing. Because it's from there that, in the one thing more than anything that this video did within this being is it really challenged all of my doubt, challenged the doubt of what I'm hearing, and because I'm so used to just assuming that what I hear and see must be wrong or off. And yet, everything I've been hearing and that's been flowing through and that's been being talked about, and that's why I sent this to Cindy that day. It's right here. And everything is just right here in different words. And so I loved, for instance, when he talked about Trump. And before I used to didn't say his name because I refused to say the name. So I called him Beetlejuice. We've moved to a place, and I used to say I'd rather say Beetlejuice 3 times, but we've moved to a place of the reason that we don't say his name is because we'd much rather hold the spirit than hold the name. We'd much rather see him from that lens. And yesterday in another talk, it was the same thing. They brought him up and they said, "What do we do?" And they said the same thing that Gary said: love him. Because the truth is, you can't fight the energy of fear with more fear. It only empowers it. So that was something that really stood out for me. That and that intimacy. I told you guys I don't take notes, but I actually took notes this time. I am not going through them. But the discussion on authentic power, on moving from the old way of power over, and looking outside for all of that identification and realizing that authentic power is that power within, that power to recognize fear versus love. And for myself, I really had to learn the difference because I had to learn, did you put a jacket on? Is love. Be careful out there. Is love. Did you have breakfast? Is love. Instead of seeing it as interfering and going into fear. And I had to learn that staying away from certain things or from certain people was actually fear. And that protection, if I felt I needed protection, then apparently I was afraid. And I had to work through the transmutation of that. So this very personal and intimate process, yeah, he really brought it home. The only other thing I'm gonna just kind of touch on, because there's so much here, but everybody's gonna touch on it, is his words. Our creative capacity is now unlimited, and our responsibility for what we create is total. I've been walking that for such a long time. That's why I understand the impeccability of word, but we hear that in that it's not only is it important the energy that I'm putting out in word to other people, but more important, the energy that I'm carrying in word about this being that I exist as. Because it's when I'm carrying this being in a integrity of in the word of love and openness and all of that, that's what gets emitted out into the world. And from what I hear him saying is the one way to change the world is change our flow of energy or our hmm, so I'm getting a little help now, is to open all of our blockages to allow the divine to flow through and express. I'll open the floor. Cindy? Oh, I thought your hand was up.
No,
But
it was.
Libby?
Yes. And then I, no,
Okay,
my hand was up. Unless Livy, you
okay.
want to go first? I'm gonna go through my notes real quick. Man, it's good to be here. It's really, really good to be here. Couple things. He gave me the opportunity to sit back and remember how early on when I was facilitating every week, a big thing of what I would do is notice how what one teacher was teaching was the same as another teacher, and I love bringing that together for me. So he said, one of the things he said is that the new consciousness was going to take hold within 3 generations. The guides are also talking about 3 generations for transformation, and that really kind of hit me. The other part of it, though, was that Gary was like, and we're like halfway through it or more,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this idea that the 3 generations means it won't take place in our lifetime really sunk into the understanding that that's not true and it's not even worth thinking about because we don't know where we are within the 3 generations. But it did hit me that both he and the guides talked about a transformation that was going to take 3 generations. Um, the second thing was I enjoy watching my innards, especially my conditioned innards, respond to this idea of talking to non-physical entities, whether they're the loved ones who had passed, or Lonnie's collective, or Abraham, or the guides. It's such an interesting thing how so much of what I spend time with is the teachings that have can't come through non-physical entities. And yet, from a personality standpoint, man, there's a lot of reason, not a lot, but I notice the questioning and the resistance and the wanting to like act like what he would call the old consciousness. And so I just kind of really wanted to say that out loud. It's like it's so interesting to notice when the doubt comes up, like the way he's talking about, working with his beloved, even though she left her body 3 years ago. Is there a part of me I was looking to see if a part of me thought he was like losing his mind. And and consciously I choose not to, and yet the old conditioning comes up, right? And it's so interesting to allow it to be channeled when it does. I don't know what's going on in anybody else's consciousness. And so why not trust it as opposed to doubt it and look at the teachings and not and accept that I don't know who the guides are. I like that I like identifying them as Melchizedek. I don't know where Joel got his teachings. I don't know who the Jesus was that was channeled when Helen and Bill wrote the course. I don't, but all of that came from outside of my conditioned old consciousness. And so it's enough for me to know that I don't know and let the rest of it rock. But I was just watching, it's so cool to watch how the old stuff wants to color something when it doesn't know. I liked the definition. I don't remember what you said, Lonnie, is the definition of authentic power. Um, But the way I wrote it down, and perhaps it's because it's currently it's what Joel Goldsmith is teaching me today, though he died a couple of years after I was born, and it's what the guides are saying. What I wrote in listening to him, authentic of power, alignment of your personality with your soul. That's the way he
Yes.
defined it. Um, the guides keep talking about how we're not surrendering our personality. We are coming into alignment and into accord with merging our personality with the will of the oneness or the will of God, and I love that. So I get to be this unique expression of the infinite invisible. I don't want to fight God. I want to be in alignment with that, have this gorgeous personality. And, the anger will still be there and the sadness, all these things of being human still gets to be there, but not in um conflict with the higher power, but in agreement, and again, the guides, agreement and accord with like the monad or the Holy Spirit or whatever. So Cindy gets to be this arm of the infinite invisible. She still gets to be Cindy, but this idea that she's working on power separate from the soul or the higher, it just doesn't even make any sense. And Joel Goldsmith has very similar teachings too. And, you know, um, we can talk a lot about how A Course in Miracles teaches the same thing. And what you hold in darkness calls you to it. What you bless blesses you in return. A lot of this, well, what do you do when you see? What do you do when you see? Just brings me back to that simple teaching, the reminder that my responsibility is my consciousness. My responsibility is my consciousness. So when I see the suffering, either in Cindy's body or Cindy's family or the community or the world, am I am I going to get angry or am I going to fight fire with fire or am I going to allow, what did you say, the removal of the blocks and let this higher vibration flow through? And it's in my head. What you hold in darkness calls you to it, and what you bless blesses you in return. And then he did point to choice, which is part of the conversation that's flowing through the community. And it becomes a simple choice. He just says, you don't have to choose to evolve. That's the way he put it. You don't have to choose to evolve. But if you do choose to evolve, here's how you do it. And so it was very much in alignment with this understanding that my choice really is, which voice am I going to listen to in this moment? You know, um, which direction, what's my goal and my intention that all feels, am I going to pause in this moment and allow the fear to burn through and then find something higher to go through? Um, I like the line, you do not need to have an intellect to grow spiritually.
I
Um,
love that.
and his pointings, relative to bypassing the story and being with physical sensation, it just made me smile because truly, in so many ways, it's where I am. I guess I'm whatever he calls a conscious human being because I am very, 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 very attuned to the physical sensations moving through my space in any given moment. And those are my notes. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you.
I don't
I
I
know
love
can't
what,
that.
hear Cindy. Is everybody hearing her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
you
Okay.
muted yourself, Sandra.
I can. So I love the discussion of that thing of choices and the old consciousness and new consciousness. Because and him talking about the old consciousness relying on the five senses, and the new consciousness really being that invitation to come into that next to that very place that society has tried to convince us that we never want to be in. So I love that. And I also love the idea of choice too. And as I've talked about it in some of the ACE, the Course in Miracles places, I kind of get a little bit of static back from it. But it's that whole thing of the words that I speak and the energy, the words that are spoken and the energy that comes through, that they have to come through, help create the reality forward. I love you spoken from a place of love is completely different than I love you spoken from a place of fear and creates a completely different outcome. So I really attach to that. Libby, you had your hand up.
I was just going to respond to the last thing that you had said initially, and that it was interesting when I started praying, how can I be the best expression of your love in the world today? What happened was I started seeing all my blocks to love. And so I just wanted to share that. And what a gift, you know. So I just wanted to share that. Thanks.
What a magnificent gift. One of the gifts of this video for this being was just his statement that says that we are more than bodies and minds. I got hung up for about a year going to the Course in Miracles meetings and listening to people constantly say, I'm not the body, I'm not the body, I'm not the body. And for the existence in this physical form, it was like, why the hell would somebody think they're that? But so we didn't understand the connection to it. As we've evolved and as we've grown, there's coming an understanding of we are so much more than just the physical form we express as. And coming in, seeing through that lens, changed things for us. Should I pull a Cindy and just call names? How about Amy?
I will just give you what my experience is. Gary Zukav is obviously a very wise human being, and I wasn't able to listen to the whole thing. I listened to most of it, and part of the reason was I was watching Jack Smith be interviewed, or not interviewed, but grilled by members of Congress. And it was such an interesting juxtaposition to have that going on in one room and then being with Gary Zukav talking about how you have to love Trump. And I thought there was a part of me that was very much in resistance to that. And but that was because there was a part of my mind that was interpreting loving Trump as loving what he's doing, being in agreement with him, allowing him free reign to be himself. And that's not what Zukov meant at all. And of course, I knew that. It's loving, I mean, there is no Trump. Trump is just an expression of the divine doing its thing. And I don't know how it's working or what the weave of the infinite textile is. I don't know, but there's a part of me that can go, God, he's doing such a good job at being what he's supposed to be, you know? And I can really, I can really be on some level thankful for that, you know? I will, I went back in and was just watching people's faces when they were grilling Smith. And I asked myself, is there any love there? No. Is there fear there? Yes. It's all about fear. It's all about separation. And then I think to myself, okay, this is sort of being silly here, but in the court of St. James, when there was all kinds of politics going on, do we remember any of that? Did that make any difference in our lives? No, no. What makes the difference in our lives? None of what's going on now. Not really. And we pay so much attention to it, or, I found myself being drawn into it. The other thing I will say, and I have to look at this in myself, is I find a lot of hope in him saying that we are becoming new humans, you know. And there's a part of me that says, "Oh, I hope I'm there. I hope I'm becoming a new human. I hope he's right." And then I have to look at, well, who's hoping for something, you know? Why does hope even have to enter into it? It is what it is. Whether this little personality that thinks things need to change in order for them to be okay, hopes for it or not. And I say that in the most hopeful sense, right? Because it is all divine. It's all infinite. There's no need to hope for it because it already is what I hope it is. But the universe sends us these people like Gary Zukav and um, all these wonderful people, and they get to remind us. And so I'm grateful for that. And Lonnie, you're doing a wonderful job, and I really appreciate your stepping up to the plate here. So hats off to you.
It's really not lost on me, Amy, that as you chose to watch as you're calling it, the grilling, that you chose to take medicine and put it right by you with this tape. That was going to remind you the whole time, stand in love, stand in love, stand in love.
And
That's not
here's
lost on me.
no, but here's the thing, Lonnie. I appreciate that. I didn't do any of it. Amy did
I
none of
know.
it. None of it.
I
It
know.
was presented. It just arose. And I
That's what's
actually thought,
awesome.
yeah, I was like, wow, these two things are going on. Wow, what a gift, right? How awesome. How awesome. And it deepens my understanding of how, yes, I hear you, Lonnie, how amazing the universe is, right? It's so, I don't have to do a frigging thing,
Exactly.
nothing. I just have to show up in the now, in Williams now, and be aware of being aware. That's it. I'm good to go. I am good to go.
Mm, thank you,
Well, thank you.
Livy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for letting me share again. The past 10 years for me, as it's related to this, went from self-righteous fear and anger, and I was right and he was wrong talking about Trump. And then I was in my living room one day and it just came to me, maybe this needs to be happening. You know, it's not for you to know everything that's going on. This may need to be happening. And you're giving him all your power.
Mhm.
And, so I started then backing up. And then as I got, into an open door and hearing more of the non-dual teachings and everything, and then it got to where now and I remember when he was interviewing Zelensky, and I didn't want to watch it, and I had it on YouTube, and I just saw a blip of it, and I got really nauseous and anxious, and I didn't know what that was about. And I just wanted to get away and get into a, calmer feeling. And then the next day it happened again. And I sat down and started writing. And what came up for me after two sentences was that it brought up me being bullied in my past, in particular by my mother. And I cried for about an hour. I screamed into the pillow. I mean, it was just this release of all these emotions that had been stuffed for so long. And as I was crying and I was kind of holding the little girl within me, and I started seeing Trump as a little boy, as a bullied little boy. And for the first time, my heart opened and I felt compassion for him, and now I choose not to watch the regular news. I get my news elsewhere. And now my heart just breaks, and I allow my heart to break for everybody, you know, and I recognize the one that we all are. And in that, I see that our expressions are totally different. And some of us have totally forgotten what we are, what they are, they've totally forgotten that. And it's for me, I believe, to bring as much love into that as I can by looking at all my blocks to it. My need to be right, my need to know that I, think I know best, and I don't know diddly, like, was just said. And it's just for me to be open to the love that is and the presence that is, and really practice being, and I practice when I go to the store, like I just ran some errands and I pause in my car and say, I think I'm going into this store to buy these things. Please help my heart and to be open to what it is you want me to see in this store, you know? And so that I'm not so fixated on me, 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 me. And I find that very, very helpful. And I'm trying to keep two cats from like jumping on the computer at the moment. But I just wanted to share that. And it's, I, from going from this person that needed to feel right in order to feel worthy and making it all about me, to be able to turn that around and recognize it doesn't have a daggum thing to do with me. And it's just for me to see my blocks of love. And yeah, so I just wanted to share that. Thanks so much. And I got to come clean. I started watching this video and I had to turn it off. Um, it's at the beginning, and I'll go back to it. I wasn't in a headspace to it. My heart was getting too sad, and I had to turn it off. And I do pray to be in a better headspace and heart space to where I can go back and hear it. So I just wanted to come clean about that. So thanks.
For you to have not heard the whole thing, Libby, it's as though you did, because he talked about the importance of recognizing the fear and love in oneself as we're identifying it out there to where we really need to be looking at is in ourselves, which is what you just described. When I think about him, it was a long time before I could get to where I am with him. But part of the first part of it was because I'm a selfish being and because I remember what it felt like to be in that depth of fear of everything. And I realized that when I would be sending out hate towards him and his people who were following him, that I was in that icky sticky that I no longer existed in. So now it felt ickier and stickier than ever before. And it was that decision to hold myself in loving grace, to not put myself in that through that, you know, to not put myself in the mud puddle to drag him in.
Right.
That
Right.
made the difference.
If I want to be the change I want to see, and I
Exactly.
want to see inclusion, guess what?
Hmm. Starts with me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Julie?
Hi, everyone. Oh, I was at the dentist. I have a droopy mouth, so thank you. Hopefully, you can understand me. But I'm so happy to be here. I missed you guys. Okay, whew. Calm down, slow down. I came in, Amy, with your talk, what your share, and oh my gosh, it hit so many points with me. When I started listening to this tape on Monday, and I liked Gary Zukav, I found him through you guys, and it was on Trump. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, oh my God, and I texted Livy and Rana and just said, hey, I'm really struggling with this unconditional love for him, and I know they hadn't watched it. And Rana said, Julie, just love the farm. I was like, okay. All right, I think I can do this. I'm learning this through all you guys with this non-dual teaching. Okay, and like what Amy said, it's not Trump, but he's God, and and this is his, what he's doing is what he's doing, and it helped. It really helped. So yesterday I listened to it again, and I took notes. Unfortunately, I don't have the notes on me, um, because they're downstairs. My husband's napping in that room. The authentic power and the non-authentic power, one from the five senses to the old conscious to the new conscious. Yes. That was really eye-opening for me. And for me, it's becoming aware of when I have those feelings in my body, that I recognize them, if it's anger, if it's jealousy, and to work through that so then I can replace it with love. And like Lonnie said in the beginning, well, when I came in, about you can say, I love you. If you do it with love, it sends that love energy. But if you do it in fear, it's sending the fear energy. And I was like, oh, yeah, exactly. And it's kind of fun, not funny, haha. But I remember when Trump won again, I cried. I woke up crying, and my husband's like, what's wrong? I go, Trump won. He's like, it's okay. And I reached out to Rana, and she's like, Julie, journal your fears. It's going to be okay. She said, I believe this happened for a reason. And I'll tell you, when she said that, it has really resonated with me with everything that's going on now. Yes, there's a reason for all of this. And I'm a part of this now. And like Livy said, I don't have to like it, but it's how I want to put the energy out there. And I want to put that love energy out there. I want to really do that authentic power where it is love. And so that is what I'm striving on. And I'm so grateful that I have people in these rooms that I can call or text when I'm like, I'm not getting it, or I'm struggling with it. And that it's okay, because I'm human. And I have to keep on remembering I'm human too. But yeah, this was I was glad I re-listened to it yesterday and took notes, because I'm really trying to look at all this that's going on, in a different light, and just really to look at my role and to listen to my body, and so I can become more of that authentic power, which is love, which we all talk about in these rooms. Love. So anyway, I love you guys, and I'm so glad to be back. And thank you, Lottie, for leading.
Thank you, Julie. I was in another meeting yesterday with 2,000 other people from around the world, and the keynote speaker came on, and they were asked a question about the current situation. And she said, well, I'm going to say something that's not popular. She said, I've decided to love Donald Trump for being exactly who and what he is, to love him with all I've got, because he's helping to create what we're doing here now. Period. John, I had noticed Sandra's hand up before. Is it okay if I let her speak before you? Oh, no, she says to let you go. So, John, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Lonnie. Thank you for you and what you bring, and Julie, and listening to her. The thing for me today, I heard Rona come on. She says, "Where am I?" It's, come out of her mouth, and that's basically a question I'm asking myself. Where am I sitting in all of this? But I got so it's I'm taking this opportunity to express it so that I can kind of land for me. And I know somebody was talking about me, but that's why it winds up for me. So what I'm getting on, I just got to say it right out now, I think Trump is the greatest American patriot since 1776. And you know that doesn't really help me very much because that was a war going on, and there's a big war going on now. You know, so it's a chance for me to see about my commitment to war and take a peek at that. But the thing that somebody said about heartbreak, you know, to look at that, you know, that whose heart is broken here? Whose heart isn't broken here? With a hole big enough to drive a steamroller through, and you know, it's basically just dealing with that. And for me, Lonnie, what I saw there more is that what am I doing? What am I projecting or what am I extending? And that's it comes down to that. So can I extend an equality? Can I extend equality? And that's what really came to me for yesterday from the Course in Miracles, you know, because if I'm looking for happiness, and this is about me as the action figure in this domain as on this earth, on this I think it was Jesus who says in being in the world or of the world or something like that, you know. But do recognize I'm here. So if I want to have a degree of happiness, man, I got to see you as equal. I got to see everybody's equal. The whole shebang is equal, you know. And what brings him joy? And when I saw Davos, I actually put in 1 hour listening to one of the greatest salesmen I ever heard. You know, like is giving a speech at Davos yesterday, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is utterly amazing. So, you know, there I am, here I am sitting with my broken heart, but I'm appreciating it. And and what is it bringing me? It is bringing me joy because when I remember that, you know, that's what I'm really wanting to extend to and receive is joy and happiness. How that's going to show up, Lottie, I don't know. But one of the things that shows up is in your smile right now. You're a beautiful lady, Lonnie, and I love your stories. I could sit with you listening to you all day, and all the other ladies too. You know, so anyway, like I said, this is about me, and I'm sorry it's about me, but that is my expression here today, and I love you, and I love to be here. Thank you so much, Cindy, and everybody.
Thank you, John. What I've really come to love about you is your willingness to be and just say whatever the fuck you want to say, and your invitation to us every time to re-examine how that hits and how we walk with it. Like I still am replaying your niggerization conversation because it beat the shit out of that word and I loved it. So thank you. Sandra, good morning.
Hello, thank you, Lonnie. Thank you, everyone. I was going to say something about the podcast, but right now what's coming up is what a privilege to be here right now with each of you and all of you. I feel like we're on holy ground, and just hearing you speak your hearts enters me. So thank you. And I really loved that he referred us back to Gandhi and Martin Luther King and Jesus and Nelson Mandela, and pointed to those of us that understood the truth and operated in this world in that way, and gave us examples of the truth of who we are. I remember once in my journey, I don't like to call it a journey, but I don't know what else to call it, so whatever. I was saying, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. Like I could get a phone call that would tell me what you do. And I was given a revelation, not in that exact moment, but a few days later. And the revelation was, it doesn't matter what you do, it's who you are. And that has just stayed with me because I think Gary, this is the first time I heard Gary and I liked him. But I think he said, like, that's it. Like, it's not, no matter what you do, I think you mentioned this, Lonnie, you could say the same thing in two different ways. It's where it's coming from. So it doesn't matter where I live. It doesn't matter, actually, even the words I say. It doesn't matter what actions I take. It's what source is it coming from? And it's not about speaking the words. Like, you can't put up a bunch of billboards that say love Trump. It's not speaking the words. It's the energetic flow of the joy and love of being, and recognizing with compassion the life force. So why am I enjoying this experience right now and appreciating it so much? Is because I knew its opposite, because I experienced its opposite. I wouldn't even call this joy if I hadn't had other emotions. And I think he pointed to that in that maybe he did, I can't remember really, but I remember once I was staying at my in-laws' house that was right on the Gulf of Mexico, and every day I could look out at that. And the first 3 days, I would just stare at it and stare at it. And then after a week, I realized I wasn't even noticing it anymore. And I had to bring my consciousness back to the beauty. So I believe there is a purposeful reason to these dualistic experiences so that we can experience the truth fully. And it's okay now. In fact, I think Gary said you even feel it more intensely. It's true for me. The heartbreak is felt more intensely. And yet, it has a qualitatively different feel underneath it that is joyful in being able to experience it. So I love you.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
do. I'm so grateful for you. I feel like that is coming out of my pores. Oh, one last thing. I'm talking a lot. I love this idea of being emotionally literate and how he pointed to how to do that. I'm going to share that with my daughters this evening because we talk about that a lot in our Thursday night gatherings. So I'm going to play that for them. Thank you, dear Lonnie. Thank you for your smile. Thank you for your being.
Thank you, my dear Sandra. I love you top to bottom, inside and out as well. You've called to mind something that was said when he quoted the Buddha. He said, worlds as numerous as dust motes. And years ago, I started hearing that each being is their own universe within themselves. And I was like, ah, get the fuck out of here. Bullshit. I get it. I get it. I get it. Melanie, 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 beautiful, sweet Melanie.
So grateful. Thank you, Lonnie, and all. Sandra, you put such beautiful words, what I think we all feel. So thank you for doing that. It's beautiful. I don't have, I just want to bring up a couple things that came to me when, you were talking about authentic, reminded me of David Hawkins' book, Power versus Force. And you can really see that played out, if power, and I think um, the Tao talks about, power is from within, and it's usually, you don't need to even say anything. It's expressed that way versus if you force, meaning you have to push it, you have to, yeah, right, exactly. And he made that distinction. You could see that him really pointing to that. I love that. And also, it reminded me of, ACIM of, in our defenselessness, we are free. Our strength comes from not needing to defend because we already know who and what we are, that we are love. So, yeah, I love it too. And finally, at the very, very end, if you ever lasted to the very end, this really was he gave me an answer that really surprised me because I think the interviewer, I forget his name, but he asked him, he was talking about community. I don't know if you picked that up. And he caught him on that. He said, there's only, you know, we can be careful about a sense of community because is it exclusive? If you say I'm in this community, does that mean somebody is not? Somebody's out of it? It's putting up maybe a boundary around us. So he said there's only one community, and that is life. And we are all members. So that just made me more aware of, how maybe we set up some boundaries around ourselves. So, and the importance of love. So, thank you, Lonnie. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mel. That part of it I didn't touch on, but that was so huge because I struggle so much with the monetization of the spiritual. And so it's interesting in other groups where they make you pay to hear tapes and pay for this and that. I'm like, so if I don't pay, then I don't deserve to hear this? And so last night when I was listening to it this morning and I got to that part again, I was like, that's the difference between here at an open door
Mm.
and a lot of these other communities that are coming into form. They offer you a monthly membership to a community in currency, a community that I already belong to. Patricia.
Alicia. Good morning, Lonnie. Thank you. You're doing a fine job, girlfriend. Fine job. Good morning, everyone. I think I've shared with you one of my practices is to look at everyone and recognize that that person is just like me. So I look at, and it's a beautiful practice, and I'm so grateful for it. So I look at all of you, and you're just like me. You want what I want. You love what I love, just like me, because we're all part of one. When I look at Donald Trump and I said, he is just like me, I get a bad case of what I refer to as the rah-rahs. Like a yappy dog. And I look and I laugh at that. And then I was watching him yesterday, this defensive posture and the full out expansive breast talking about how wonderful America is, and all that. I'm being critical in my head, and I'm saying to myself, he's just like me. He's just like me. Yeah. Have I been critical in my head? You bet. He needs so much attention. Are there times when I need a lot of attention? Yep. He's just like me. And I think of all of his MAGA folk and how they are going rah, rah, rah against my people, my liberal people. Oh, They're just like me. I'm just like them. We want the same thing. You're wrong and I'm right. Have I ever thought that way? You bet. Because when I look at that group that follow him, I go, oh, I'm judgmental and critical. They're just like me. So I keep reminding myself of that fact, and it helps me to get more centered and go, ah, the poor thing. And do I say to myself, you poor thing? You bet. So blessings. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Wow. Chuck, welcome.
Right, I'm going to try and be quick. So I couldn't pass up thanking Lana for doing this. Excellent. And for what Patricia just said, and I could almost go ditto to what Sandra was saying, how grateful I am to be here and listen. Everything that has been said, I can identify with in some in an amazing way. In the beginning, I chuckled a little bit. Amy was talking just before I logged in here. I was checking to see what was going to be on TV. I don't know why I was doing that. I just felt an impulse to do that. And guess what popped up? The Jack thing. And I'm going, wow, what a wow, I'm looking at this and where I'm going to be going in a couple of minutes. But I didn't have any part in that, like what was pointed out. It wasn't me. It just so there was just so much of this, and I was going. The only thing I want to throw out, because I just need to say it to kind of get it going in me, that I am related to the podcast. The phrase was put out there, and I don't know why it landed with me. It's something I really look at is intention is not a goal. And I don't know why that landed, but it hit with me, and I'm recognizing, I guess, when I'm setting intentions, I was kind of thinking in a sense of a goal instead of the way that he presented there, and I made a big note of it, so I just had to say it out loud to keep it alive within me and see where that goes. Thanks, love you all, and so honored and grateful to be able to be part of this. I don't know how I get here.
Thanks, Chuck. We're back at the top of the hour. I'm going to hand it back to Cindy. But I do just want to share with you guys that all of the anxiety and nervousness that I created within this being as I stepped up to this, I am reminded as I'm sitting here with you that in the previous part of this existence, I was a public speaker and I spoke to upwards of 3,000 people in an audience at a time without even flinching. So all this I just put myself through was calisthenics. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you. Before I turn the recording off, I did notice that at one point William's hand was up and then it went down. And so I just want to acknowledge that and give William a chance to say something in the recording.
Well, I'll try to make this quick. I don't know. No, you know what? I guess when I listen to Trump, I listen as if I were one of his followers. And I put myself in that space. And it's like comparing. And it's like, wow, it's such a different experience that I'm believing this so strongly. And I can see why the people, whoever it might be, is so like they feel Trump is a blessing. I put my in that space with them. What does that like? What is that like? So that's part of what I'm doing. I also was for Patricia. Trump has always been my best coach, my best teacher. There's so much of him that I see, but it's even deeper now. And I just want to say one quick thing about this now. I've used that word a lot. You know, I feel like such a phony with that word too. Both. I believe in it 100%, and I'm such a phony because, you know, it's a word. I use it as a word and as a beingness. And this morning, I just got it. in the moment of now, I'm going to explode. I just feel in that moment now, there's no me, there's no you, it's just an explosion. And I felt that this morning in bed for 3 hours. So I just wanted to say all that. And even when I look at you all, it's like I don't want to even see you. I don't want to see you. I just want to be, be, be. Don't ask me to explain that. I don't have to. I don't have to believe anything I'm saying either. But I know things are happening, and I love when he says, it's that vertical dimension that I just am falling in love with. That's now, but don't use my word now, but it is now. It is here. So thank you. And Miss Cindy, I gotta give you a big hug. You keep doing this thing. You keep anyway. Thank you. And Lonnie, God sakes, first time I ever saw you. Can't say enough. Can't say enough.
All right, everyone. I'm going to turn the recording off. This group meets again in 2 hours and 57 minutes for Advaita and A Course in Miracles. And you are all invited to come hang with Amy in A Course in Miracles and a deepening into the truth.
Love you all